Always love talking to Dayn Washburn. He has coached under two Brads and a John. Brad Lutz at Broadway. Brad Bradley, his current head man at Heritage. John Meeks when he was at Brookville. And, of course, Coach Washburn also at his alma mater, North Stafford. In this edition of the Sports Buffet podcast, Coach Washburn focuses more on what he did as an assistant, how to be good as an assistant, and some of his first. Does he remember the first practice? Does he remember the first argument? There is a lot to discuss with Dayn Washburn. We've broken it into 3 episodes. You're hearing this episode right now on the Sports Buffet podcast. Do you remember your first practice as a coach?
As a coach, I did.
What sticks out more, your first practice or your first game? And what's your first coaching job?
So my first coaching job was actually right after CNU. I came back home for a year, and I actually coached at North Stafford for a year.
Okay.
And I was varsity defensive line coach under Coach Mangano, who is at Colonial Forge right now.
Okay.
That was my first job, and that was a good year. I mean, we ended up. They made it all the way to state semifinals. Lost to Lake Taylor in the last second.
How do you get the coaching job? Because I'm assuming he calls you.
I had actually worked as kind of like a summer intern.
Okay.
During my college years,
okay.
I'd come back home for the summer and I would help coach and just do strength condition, weight room, D-line, whatever they needed. So it's kind of a done deal. Kind of like when I finished playing, I'm gonna coach.
Okay.
Yeah,
I come with the school. You can't get rid of me type of thing.
Nah, yeah.
Okay. So what sticks out more from a coaching career? First practice or first game?
Man, that's a good question. Probably first practice for me.
What's going through your mind?
I was just excited, man. I'm still hungry to this day to do it, but I just remember that hunger, like the first day, like, man, I'm starting something new. This is a new chapter. You got the whistle now. You're not playing. Did you
feel qualified?
I did. Yeah, I felt qualified.
So no nerves in terms of why am I here? Maybe nerves of like, you tell me, where are the nerves?
I knew. Well, you know what? I knew there. I knew the certainly at that time, North Stafford's pretty good, and I knew the expectations were high. And so to get a varsity position job right off the bat, I knew I had, I wanted D-line to be the best. I knew we had to have the guys at a high level. So the expectations were big, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing everything I could. So. We had some dudes. That was a fun year, man. We had some dudes on that team. So
now this is obviously after you're playing at CNU.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So this is 2013.
So then you come from North Stafford to here.
I actually spent 1 year. At Broadway.
Okay.
1 year at Broadway High School out in the Harrisonburg area. Brad Lutz, man, that's my guy. Yeah, totally random. I just knew I was moving to the area, and
not married at this point.
Not married, no. I hadn't met my wife yet.
How did you find? I mean, how are you moving to Broadway's area?
Oh boy,
I don't need the deep secret here, but are you just moving?
Well, my girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
I'm sure my wife. I know my wife will listen to this. So, girlfriend at the time moved. She was doing the JMU PA school thing.
Sorry, Mrs. Washburn. I'll send a good gift with the card next year.
It's okay. We're good. But so she was doing the JMU school, and so we went out. So I went out together, and so but. So then I was just looking at the other schools around, and I knew there was East Rock and Harrisonburg, right. Spotswood, TA, and all, the Valley schools. And so I just did some calling around, and Coach Lutz actually, he needed a varsity D-line guy. Okay. And I said, let's do it. And it ended up being a really cool year, man. I got a lot of cool relationships because of that. And it was really cool. So he's a great dude. I love working under him.
Now William Byrd, by the way.
Yeah,
the big man camp.
Yeah, big man camp. Been doing that for about 12 years now.
I think I don't know who's impressing who more, me by giving you these facts or you by giving.
I'm
giving
impressed. You know your ball. You know your stuff.
I talked to JT too. That's how I got some of the CNU stories.
Oh. That guy. We could talk all day about that guy.
Well, how did you and him get the friendship going?
Man, it was he's one of my best friends, man. JT Cruz over at JF, and don't tell him I said that. But he
it's only you, me, and everybody on the internet, and the people at the restaurant hearing it.
Yeah, man, it was it was kind of like just one of those lineman things, kind of sticking together, where we were going against each other just about every day in practice, and so.
What's your first memory of JT?
I remember him, and I hate to give him this credit, but I remember him. When you go in, you kind of see who are the other freshmen that kind of stand out.
Right.
And I remember watching him kind of in one-on-ones and some other stuff, and I go, this guy's pretty good. And he was holding his own against some pretty good dudes. And then he's like, then we just kind of. We're just hanging out in the cafeteria, and then we're like, start talking ball, start talking the same stuff. Then he tells me about this little place called Brookville, and that's where he's from. And I'm like, what's that?
Now, to rewind real quick, now, is a lot of college stuff at that point, are you going one-on-one with the offensive lineman, or are there a lot of double teams? So did you get more closer with the guy next to you on the D-line?
I would honestly say, well, I'll tell you this. The O-linemen, man, that is a special group. The O-linemen usually stick with O-linemen.
Even today in high school and everything, I would say John Eric has got that. That's a group that you can't
break the hogs.
Can't get into them.
Can't break the hogs, man. Coach Eric does a heck of a job, kind of instilling that culture in our guys. I mean, they're a very tight group.
And people will say the same about and I'm not trying to knock Coach Eric, but people will say the same about Harlow at JF. People will say the same about any O-line coaches. It's kind of like the six of us.
I think that's one of the
rest of the world.
Having a good offensive line coach, I think, is one of the most important things on staff. I think that you can bring in.
That's protecting your QB.
It's protecting your QB. It's dude. I mean, you are what your boys up front, both offense and defensive lines. But that culture that you instill in an offensive lineman, that sets the tone for a lot of stuff. And so I think position wise, offensive line, you got to have a good coach.
So are you back to the question at hand? Are you actually bonding with your next? Is the guy next to you at the D-line helping, or you get where I'm going?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, I've made a ton of my D-line friends, but it's funny that the majority of my college roommates were all offensive linemen. Shout out Pat Meredith, he was our starting center, and Byron Tibbetts was a tackle. They both played at Manchester together. And so it was me on the defense and those three offensive linemen. So it was pretty funny.
Kind of got into the clique.
That's the roommate chat, man.
But I mean, did the D line? Did they have that bond, or that? When you're a D line,
I would say, I mean, like you definitely. I mean,
are you buddying to the guy next to you mainly at that point, or do you get to know him well? Does that make sense?
I think if you're at least for me, my personal experience.
Your stories.
My personal experience was like, man, if you're in the trenches, like there's a connection there.
Right.
We're not pretty boys. We're not, we're not, this and that. It's like, if you're in the trenches, you're in the trenches. So like, I think there's that connection there. So I mean, it was cool.
We were talking about NFL films earlier. I remember watching this old NFL films video to where an offensive tackle called it the pit. And he's like, there are things that happen here that would be illegal out on the street.
Yeah.
And, it's so dirty. I mean, the ball can change hands 3 or 4 times in a scrum.
Yep.
But,
oh, yeah.
People that haven't been there
offensive linemen
don't understand what the pit is of that offensive, defensive.
If you ain't in it, you don't understand.
Any big moment up front that really, really sticks out from your playing days? High school or college, I guess. Shoot, we could even kick it to Little League if you want.
Besides beating Coach Cruz in a couple one-on-ones, probably that sticks out. I'm just kidding. He got me too. He got me too a few times. But, man.
Did you have a better spin move or swim move? Or did you even really do that type of stuff at D-line?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't – I'm trying to think. We called it a snatch move. Is probably my favorite, and he knows what I'm talking about.
Because on
that's
Madden,
why I used to use on him.
On Madden, I know you do. You can have the swim moves to where you
get
do that spin.
Get a little club swim, club spin.
Spin. You can get. It seems like from a video game perspective, you can get dizzy.
I will say this to have a good spin and you got to have a fast get off. I will say this: I don't think I was the fastest speed guy in the world. I think my probably strength was probably just like I was more of a technician. Like my hands were good, your leverage is good, and that kind of stuff. That's a good question. Spin or swim? My swim was probably better.
Because you can't go low to where you can't crawl between somebody's legs.
No,
as a defensive lineman, you can't.
They'll eat you alive.
Can't kick them or hit them in the crotch.
No, I can't do that.
Kind of frowned upon.
Yeah, it is.
We were talking earlier too. You grew up in San Diego. You became a San Diego fan.
Yeah, I lived it. Yeah,
couldn't get you out of that Junior Seau jersey.
No
Junior
way.
Seau didn't play defensive line.
Nah, linebacker, man. That's I was anywhere on defense, I'm good. I love. So if you're a linebacker,
Did it have that Hawaiian connection too? Because Junior Seau's kind of got that. Like
maybe they might have had a little connection there.
Gosh, I don't even know who else we could even pick. If you, who's your favorite defensive lineman of all time?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Pro or college or I don't care. High school.
I'll tell you what, and I know he was kind of a linebacker. I remember in high school I was a big Sean Merriman guy. Man, there's so many right now. There's so many right now.
I have to think our eras differ a little bit too, because obviously to me one of the first is Reggie White was super good at getting. I think the ends have the fair unfair. They're the guys getting to the quarterback. I don't think defensive tackles get enough credit as much as they should.
That's why I always try to show. I try to show my tackles especially. We talk about, especially like on at Heritage, is doing your part, doing your job. You got to fit the puzzle. You got to do your 9. Everybody's got 9% of the defense, pretty much. And so, if you're a 3 tech, you're a 0 shade, you're a 1 tech, like you're taking on doubles.
What's a 3 tech?
Outside shade of the guard.
What's a shade?
Half man, you're the outside half.
So
man.
I'm gonna not line up directly in front of the guard. I'm shading is meaning I'm gonna line up to his right or left a little bit.
Yeah. So if you're a D tackle, but basically, if you're a D tackle, you're a nose. You're doing the dirty work.
Right.
But what I think in
trenches,
you're in the trenches, man. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. At the end of the day, I don't care how good you are on the back end. You could have the greatest cover guys in the world. If the quarterback's got all day to throw it, it's gonna put you in a bind. You talk about run fits for your linebackers and everything, keeping guys off of them. We want to keep our backers clean. We don't want guys touching our linebackers. That's up to our defensive line. But you can see if you do your job, you get all the accolades in the world or whatever. Not that that's the most important thing, but if you do your job, you're going to make plays. And so, so especially, I've had some great, I had some great dudes at Brookville. I've been blessed to have some really good D linemen at Heritage as well. And so, so I'm excited. I'm excited for the line we got this year. We got some dudes.
We're going to talk about the Broadway to Brookville transition, and then we'll get into the Brookville to Heritage. So you come from Broadway you're at Broadway for a year?
Just a year, yeah.
And then Coach Cruz at JF says, I went to this school called Brookville. Mm-hmm. You probably, do you even know Lynchburg at that point?
Not really. Yeah, how I kind of got hooked up with it, which I loved coaching under Brad Lutz and the Broadway, and that community was cool and everything. But at the time, though, I was a teacher's assistant, and I was getting my license to be a teacher, which was the ultimate goal.
You need some money,
and you got to live, man. And so I was doing an intensive. 2-week intensive class at LU, which I was doing my license through and my master's through, and I had to spend 2 weeks in Lynchburg, and I didn't know anybody. I knew no one. I had no connections. I had no nothing. So I did text JT, and I was like, "Dude, you know anyone around here?" and I had kind of known Larry Kidd.
Okay.
Who was, great guy, old timer, D-line coach at JF right now. We swapped
200 years
too.
old.
200 years old.
I love giving Coach Kidd is that guy that you can bond with quickly, because I feel like you can give him a hard time and he'll give it back and he'll take the hard time too.
He only gives hard times.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like,
I love.
He's
Coach
a great
Kidd.
dude, man. He's a great dude, and so he was the athletic director of Brookville at the time, and ironic, and then John Meeks got the job, not like around that kind of same ballpark time, and so I was there staying, and I had known Coach Kidd because his daughter Alyssa played volleyball at CNU. So, and and JT and I are friends with Alyssa. And so he goes, let's go. He goes, so I ended up texting Coach Kidd, and I was like, hey man, I'm here. And he goes, let's go to dinner. And we went to Mi Patron over near Timberlake, and we were just talking. We were just talking ball, and we were just having a good time. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm looking for a teaching job. And he goes, what are you doing tomorrow? He goes, I want you to come to school. And so I had a job interview. Basically, I had a job interview the next day, and went well, and they offered me a teaching job the next day at Brookville. so, which I did not, I didn't think, you talk about just God really kind of having a plan and nothing about it. Like I wasn't expecting that at all, but that's how I ended up in Lynchburg.
And you're kind of a unicorn in a way, because you're not teaching a PE. You're teaching an academic subject in coaching, which a lot of people, you found it some. Not as common, especially back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yep.
Were you hired to coach, or were you hired to teach? And you got the other one came along. If that makes sense.
I told them both. I hope both. I told them, I'm like, look, I'm a history guy. I want to teach history. I've always loved history, and so there's coaches that it's just totally okay that they coach, or they have to teach just to be able to coach. I love teaching. I love teaching. I love coaching too. I love being able to do both. So history has always been a big part of that. And so
this is Meeks' first year.
First year. So we did not know each other at all.
How'd the meeting come about?
Went really good. Ironically, it was just kind of, like I said, I knew this is kind of God's plan, that he had just filled a couple spots on the varsity staff.
When are you hired, by the way, to teach? What month?
That was probably maybe late June, early July.
Okay, so practice is sooner than later.
Yeah,
but it's not like Meeks is giving you a whistle and saying, "Here, go on the field." And
we did hit the ground running pretty quick, and D line was the one spot that he hadn't filled yet, and I was like, well, that's what I do. So he goes, it's perfect, and so that's kind of how it ended up. Ended up happening.
So did you meet in the hallways, or was it like?
I think we met a coach in one of the coaches' offices the next day. And,
but he knew of, hey, there's a guy that.
Larry, Coach Kidd told him, hey, I got a young guy that does D-line, and we want to get him here, and he goes, let's do it. Okay. So I interviewed with John, and went well, and got hired on the spot, I think, and so that's how I started my career there.
How long have you been married?
8 years. 8 years, just celebrated 8 years 2-3 days ago.
So you're married or coaching with Meeks first? I promise it's leading to a point.
Coaching with Meeks first.
Okay.
I met my wife probably my third season in.
So I don't want to say Meeks' right hand, but you're pretty high up on the totem pole.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember having the first argument? Did you? Because are you having those arguments when you're an assistant at North Stafford or Broadway?
No, not really, not at the time.
So, take me through the first argument. What's going on in the brain of Dayn Washburn?
I'm trying to think what our first one was. To be honest, we pretty a lot on the same page for a lot of stuff. And
but you can argue during games a lot more. I think. You know what I'm saying?
Games, yeah. Especially if John had a full throttle, right before, I knew he was going to yell at somebody.
And the point is, I think if you had been married first, you're going to learn that this argument is not personal.
Yeah.
And I think if you argue first as a head coach, you might get scolded by your parents.
Yeah. No,
but you're like,
It is.
He,
That's a great point. Like when you're in this profession, like you gotta, at least, you hope that nothing's personal.
Right.
Like when you spend this much amount of time with people, you're gonna fight. I look at, my brother and I, we're best friends. All right, but we're gonna fight. Well, you think about how much time you spend with these coaches.
Right.
It's so much time.
Coach Bradley was telling me about him and Coach Eric have been together forever.
Those two
they can
will
fight
go
like
at
cats
it.
and dogs.
Those two will go at it like.
But then they'll be
fight,
fine.
and then they're great. They'll
Yeah.
fight. They'll fight over the headphones, and then after the game, it's like nothing happened.
So you didn't get culture shocked by the first real fuss.
No,
Okay.
yeah. It was I knew.
Okay.
I knew pretty early, just kind of in this profession, you can't take anything like personal. Now, there's ways that you can go about it, and there's ways that you shouldn't go about it, like if something needs to be corrected or this or that, which I also think is really important, where, some guys, they might do that wrong, but like if you can argue about something, but if it's done in the right way, like
somebody's always watching, and normally it's the kids. So how do you want to argue in front of?
There you go. Exactly.
Because if I'm calling, Dayn a no good nothing, he doesn't know a thing. Then why should the kids listen to you? Because I already said you don't know anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
no, we try. And I've been fortunate where, like I said, to coach under Coach Bradley, coach under John Meeks. Those are two, like some Brad Lutz too. Like I've learned so many great lessons, and I've learned how to be. Those all three of those got great leaders of men, and they've all treated their guys fair. They've always been good to their guys, and so you can have good. You can get on each other a little bit, but as long as it's done the right way, I think it's important.
Dayn Washburn, one of my favorite people to talk to because you can just have a straight conversation with him. And Coach Jeff Woody said all my interviews right now are basically like conversations. It's always great to get a hold of Coach Washburn. We did this one at a restaurant, and I feel like the trust that he has in me, I try to reciprocate it the best I can with some good thought-provoking questions and not just using my name or being another social media guy, really trying to make the questions meaningful and count. And Coach Washburn makes relationships count as well. You can ask anybody that's played for him. It's like Coach Washburn's the older brother, father figure, whatever you want to say. But what I want to say is you've heard Dayn Washburn on the Sports Buffet podcast with Bob Alvis.